Hi, my name is Lily and welcome back to my channel and welcome to my spring TBR. So I don't really do TBRs month to month because I'm a huge mood reader, but I like to come up with a list of books that I would like to read in certain seasons. Maybe it's because they remind me of the season or make me feel that season, or it could just be because I want to read it now. So these are 10 books that I'd like to read in spring. So the first couple of books are middle grade or young adult. The first one is Me, My Dad and the End of the Rainbow by Benjamin Dean. So this is a middle grade, it is a contemporary and it is about a young boy whose father comes out as gay. So I don't really know much about this one. I believe it's about him discovering what it's like having a gay father, especially because I think his dad is married to his mum at the beginning of the book, and it's kind of about an exploration of family, what that means, and acceptance, and it just sounds so sweet. I really love to read light contemporaries in spring summertime, so this one feels absolutely perfect for that. No, you're absolutely not allowed to judge me for the next one, but it is The Kissing Booth 3. I think it's called One Last Time by Beth Reekles. So yes, this is of Kissing Booth fame from Netflix. So these books are not great, but they're such guilty pleasure reads for me. I really enjoy reading them and find them really entertaining. And so I'm really looking forward to reading the final one in the trilogy. This one, I guess spoilers if you haven't read the first book, but it is not huge. This one is set in the summer where Elle has to decide which university she's going to go to. She unexpectedly gets accepted into both Harvard and Berkeley, and basically Harvard is where her boyfriend Noah is, but Berkeley is where she and her best friend Lee, who is Noah's brother, have always promised themselves they would go to together. She has to then make the decision, is she going to go to Harvard with her boyfriend or Berkeley with her best friend? And then there's also another subplot where her and her best friend Lee discover the bucket list they wrote as children and they decide to try and complete it before they go to college. So it sounds like it's going to be absolutely trash and a really fun time, and that is exactly what I need. I think this is a great one to bring in the warmer months with. It feels really light and breezy like spring, so yeah, absolutely cannot wait to read it. And now we move on to my adult romance section, because of course I am really into adult romances at the moment. The first one that I really want to read in spring is The Bride Test by Helen Huang, because I have been desperate to read this book for so long, but I keep putting it off because I'm worried I'm not going to enjoy it as much as I liked The Kiss Quotient. So this is the second book in the Kiss Quotient series, but they are all standalones. This one is about Kai, who is autistic, and he thinks that he kind of is broken, he doesn't have proper emotions and he can't feel love, but everyone around him knows that it's just that he processes those feelings differently. So his family tried to set him up with a girl to fall in love with, and she comes over to America to meet him and to fall in love with him and tries to teach him how to be in a relationship, but he kind of refuses to reciprocate because he doesn't think he can ever love her back. But meanwhile she is falling in love with him. It sounds amazing and cute and sweet, and The Kiss Quotient was awesome. So again, it is another light and breezy contemporary that I really want to read to ease me into the summer months. I have full faith that I'm going to enjoy it because I really like The Kiss Quotient and Helen Huang's writing is awesome. So yeah, hopefully I get to this one soon as well. The next romance is If I Never Met You by Mary McFarlane. I have no idea if I pronounced her first name correctly, but I tried. I just looked in the book and it says that her name is pronounced Vary. I don't know how we get Vary from this, but respect. Anyway, the next one is If I Never Met You by Mary McFarlane. This one is a fake dating office romance. The female main character has been in a relationship for 18 years and suddenly gets broken up with, but she still works with him. So to try and help herself look better and get over it, she agrees with this guy she meets in the elevator to have a fake romance, but of course things get more complicated. So I love a fake dating romance and I am really looking forward to reading another one. I find them really enjoyable, really easy reads, and I like seeing them make that transition from fake to real relationship. So again, another easy, light contemporary to get me into spring. Can you sense a theme here? Next up we have Sweet Hand by Enjo Peltier. So this one is set in Trinidad, I think? Yes, Trinidad. So this one's set in Trinidad, where the two main characters have come back to the island for the first time in a really long time. They've been lifelong rivals, but they're gonna have to get along because they are best man and maid of honour at this wedding that they've both come back for. And it's kind of an enemies to lovers romance, and I just think that the island setting and an enemies to lovers romance is perfect for bringing in the warmer months. It's just the perfect escapism because I'm really getting tired of the cold and winter now, so I really want to escape to Trinidad in my head. And that's basically why I want to read it in spring. I love reading summery books in spring because it gets me really excited for summer. And then the final romance on this list is Delilah Green Doesn't Care by Ashley Herring Blake. This is an LGBT romance, and it is about a woman who is kind of used to having casual relationships. She's very estranged from her sister, hasn't been back to her hometown in a really long time. But her sister manages to convince her to come back and be the photographer for her wedding. And while she's at the wedding, she meets her sister's best friend and starts to decide maybe this could be fun after all, because she has a bit of a crush. And the sister's friend is really overwhelmed. She's a single mother and is really overwhelmed by the whole wedding organised process, but they keep getting put together during the organisations and sparks start to fly. So again, I think this could be a nice easy breezy romance, and I love wedding romances as well. They're a really great setting, it's great escapism. And I think as well it's going to get me excited because my sister's wedding is coming up, so I'm actually kind of enjoying reading more books about people going to weddings. So the same goes for Sweet Hand as well. It will help me get hyped for the wedding. So my next one is technically non-fiction, and it is a young adult non-fiction, which is kind of new to me. I haven't read much young adult non-fiction, and that is All Boys Aren't Blue by George M. Johnson. So this one is a memoir from George about his life growing up black and queer in America, and it's meant to kind of explore the ideas of intersectionality between those things, what it was like just being each of those identities merged into one person, and also what his relationship to his queerness and his blackness is like. And I'm really looking forward to reading this, and I want to get into more non-fiction, and I thought reading a young adult non-fiction might really help me get into that. And I've heard this is also quite a good analysis and has a lot of good critical thinking in it, but for me, I feel like reading that at the young adult level is a good introduction because I don't read a lot of non-fiction. So yeah, this is kind of me wanting to start reading more non-fiction and getting into it a bit more. And I feel like because spring is the next season, it's the perfect time, but also the cover just really makes me feel like it's spring. You know, the blue to pink ombre and then the flower crown, it just feels very spring to me. And finally, we have our fantasy books. No sci-fi books in this selection because I kind of like reading sci-fis in autumn and winter and fantasies in spring and summer. So I'm going to talk about the 3 fantasies that I am most looking forward to for spring. First up, we have A Marvellous Light by Freya Marske. So this one is a adult fantasy, and it's set in kind of Edwardian Victorian era England. It's about a young man whose parents have passed away and their excesses have kind of put their estate into trouble. So he's trying to rescue his estate and maintain all of his employees and also be a good older brother to his younger siblings. And then the government gives him a role to be a liaison to a secret magical society he didn't even know about. And in being part of this magical society, he has to work with this very prickly other young gentleman to solve a mystery together. And of course, romance happens as well. So the reason mainly I want to read this in spring is look at the cover. Does this cover not scream spring to you? But also I find fantasies with heavy romance elements are really spring to me. They're nice and easy, fun reads. This one's meant to be super funny and enjoyable, so that's a big reason why. And yeah, I just think it's going to be a nice reintroduction to fantasy because I haven't really been reading a lot of fantasy lately. Now, the next one you're also not allowed to judge me for not having read yet, and that is Once Upon a Broken Heart by Stephanie Garber. And yes, I haven't read it yet. I am a terrible human being. But anyway, I love the Caraval series, one of my favourite series of all time, so of course I'm really excited for Once Upon a Broken Heart. So if you didn't know, this is kind of a spin-off series from the Caraval series in that it is about Jax, who is the Jack of Hearts from the final book in the Caraval series. I won't tell you much about his involvement in that series, but I can tell you a bit about this one. So this one has a female main character who is in love with someone who she then finds out is about to marry someone else, and in her heartbroken state she makes a deal with Jax. To stop the wedding and heal her broken heart, she promises Jax 3 kisses, which to her seems like no big deal, but he gets them when he wants them, and it turns out that they mean much more than she originally thought. And it turns out they mean much more than she originally thought, and they are not just kisses. So I think that Stephanie Garber's whimsical lyrical writing feels like spring and summer to me. It just feels like something I can sit and read on a nice sunny day and enjoy, and that is exactly what I'm hoping to do with this book. I keep putting it off because I'm really worried I'm not going to love it as much as Caraval and it's not going to live up to the hype, but I just need to bite the bullet and read it because I have faith in Stephanie Garber. And finally, I would like to read The Girl Who Fell Beneath the Sea by Axio. How beautiful is this cover? Like, oh. I only bought this today and I need to read it immediately because the cover is so beautiful, it just makes me want to read it. This one is a feminist retelling of a Korean legend, and it's about a town where they're constantly ravaged by storms, and they think it's because the sea god is angry with them, so every year they sacrifice a girl to the sea god, and basically the main character's brother's love is the one that's going to be sacrificed that year, and then her brother decides to try and go into the sea to save her, knowing that it means death for himself, and the main character is like, oh hell no, I've got to go save my brother, so she goes in to save him, only to be swept away into the world of the spirits and be taken as a sacrifice. But when she gets there, she discovers that the sea god is actually stuck in an enchanted sleep, and so she works together with the people of the spirit realm to try and wake him and stop the storms. That sounds amazing. I love folklore retellings, and I love when it's retellings of folklore I don't know, because it feels so much more magical and lyrical, and I've heard amazing things about this. It has a really high average rating on Goodreads, and I think that Korean folklore as well, just I find so magical and unique, and I just love it so much. It's just so creative. So again, I am so hyped for this, and the cover just screams spring for me. I feel like folklore retellings in this style really scream spring. They feel much more lighter, not as in lighter content, but they just feel much more lighter reads, easier to read for me. So I'm really looking forward to it. It is a young adult fantasy, so hopefully it will be a bit more accessible, as well as another good introduction back into fantasy. So those are all of the books, not all of the books, those are 10 of the books I hope to read this spring that are kind of at the top of my TBR right now. I'm very chaotic. Who knows if I'll read these books anytime soon, but I'm gonna try. I really hope that I do. I am so excited for all of them, and I really need to get my physical TBR down, so fingers crossed I read these soon, and hopefully if I do I will update you. Keep an eye on my wrap-ups to see if I do read them, I guess. So thank you so much for watching. If you like this video, please give it a like and consider subscribing to see more content from me. All of my social media links are down in the description below. If you'd like to leave me a comment to let me know you're here, use a little chick emoji because spring, chicks hatch. I hope you get that. Anyway, thank you again for watching. Bye.